This is the Less Insurance Dependence podcast show with my good friend Gary Takacs and myself, Naren Arulrajah.
We appreciate your listenership, your time, and most of all, we appreciate your intention to reduce insurance dependence in your practice. Our goal is to provide information that will help you successfully reduce insurance dependence and convert your practice into a thriving and profitable dental practice that provides you with personal, professional, and financial satisfaction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast, the official podcast of the Reducing Insurance Dependence Academy, www.rid.academy. Membership to the Academy is a gift from Gary and I in appreciation for your listenership. Visit rid.academy and don't forget to register. By registering, you will have access to all of our resources and a free pass to all of our events, including our annual summit. I'm Naren, your co-host. Today's podcast is titled, How Inflation and a Weak Economy Are Making Fee-for-Service an Appealing Option. Before we jump into today's topic, I have a quick announcement. We have our very first Thriving Dentist Live workshop happening in 4 to 5 years. It's happening on the 1st of February, the 9 to 5 p.m. It's a Saturday in the city of Austin. The link is thrivingdentist.com/Austin. And this event is all about helping you grow your practice to full potential and achieving an effective work-life balance. Pretty much it's a blueprint to kickstart your 2025. Gary, any comments?
Yeah, I'm super excited about that Thriving Dentist Live workshop coming up February 1st. It's in Austin, Texas, Naren, as you mentioned. That's our first live workshop since very late February 2020. We had a full schedule of live events happening in 2020, and then COVID followed up that plan. And we ended up pivoting and doing all of our workshops virtually. And based on a popular request, we've had many requests to get back to a live format. And this is going to be our first one in the live format post-COVID. So it's February 1st, 2025. And think of that course as drinking from a fire hose about all things related to developing a thriving practice. 8 hours of CE, you get 8 hours of CE. I will be your presenter. We'll have dentists from all over the country. You'll have colleagues that are on a path to develop a thriving practice that you can network with, and massive content that will be a great way for you to jumpstart 2025. Come join us. We chose Austin because it's relatively central, at least as east-west directions go, for wherever you are in the country. It's also just a great city. If you've been to Austin, we're giving you an excuse to come back. And if you've never been to Austin, we're giving you an excuse to visit Austin and find out just how magical a city that is. So come early, stay late, get 8 hours of CE, and most importantly, you'll be armed with a massive amount of information to make 2025 your best year yet. I look forward to meeting you face-to-face there.
Absolutely. I think that would be an amazing event. I know the last one we did was a mega success and people said it's one of the best events they ever attended. So I'm looking forward to it. Once again, thrivingdentist.com/Austin. Let's jump into today's conversation. How inflation and a weak economy are making fee-for-service an appealing option. And we recently had our Reducing Insurance Dependence Academy annual summit. And one thing that I noticed, Gary, and perhaps you could chime in, is almost every person who was there were hundreds of practices who were there, have decided to drop at least one or more PPO plans. Meaning, whether they're going all the way for fee for service or not, that's a different question. But really, people have said enough is enough. In this situation, in this climate, we can't put up with every one of those plans. And there are many of those plans that literally abuse practice owners. In other words, it doesn't make any sense to be on those plans. And the doctors are saying enough is enough. We are no longer going to be on those plans, and they're dropping those plans.
Yeah, that's the truth. You'd have to be living under a rock to fail to recognize that inflation is affecting every single practice. Everything you buy in your practice is more expensive. Perhaps most notably is wage inflation. Wage inflation has absolutely skyrocketed in the last 2 to 3 years. And in many cases, practices are having to significantly increase team members' wages to stay competitive and to be able to attract and keep quality team members. Um, and, being in a PPO environment makes it really challenging to develop a successful practice because of the fact that fees are actually going down from many PPO plans. They're lowering fees, the PPO plans, in rather than showing any compassion and understanding to what's happening to you as a provider. They're slapping you in the face and lowering your fees. So your costs are going through the roof and your revenue is going down if you're a PPO provider. Now, many dentists have trouble really putting their arms around how much they're writing off to be in a PPO plan. And the simple reason for that is that 90% of dentists enter their contracted fees in the fee guides in their practice management software, whether that's Dentrix, Eaglesoft, or Open Dental. You enter your contracted fees. 90% of dentists enter their contracted fees. That's the method that's encouraged by your practice management software, by the way. And that's not that's not a nefarious act on the part of the software company. It simply makes it easier for you to track your collections. The other alternative, which 10% of the dentists in the country do, will enter their UCR fees in their fee guides. And then if they do enter their UCR fee guides, they can run a report to see what they're writing off. 10% of dentists can run a report to see what they're writing off. The other 90% don't know what they're writing off. And that puts you at jeopardy when it comes to making good decisions. A great example comes to mind, Naren. This is a current client of mine in our Thriving Dentist coaching service. Yeah. This was a practice that when we started working the year before, he was completely in network, a solo dentist, nice, strong practice, collected just over $1 million that year, just over $1 million. And I asked him, I said, do you know what you're writing off? He said, no, I enter my contracted fee, so I don't know that. Well, we developed a simple custom Excel spreadsheet to be able to estimate what is being written off. And it's accurate to plus or minus 2%. So we entered the data into that custom Excel spreadsheet, and we discovered that this practice had to produce $1,537,000 a year in order to collect $1 million. Now, if you just tuned into this podcast and all you heard was this last line, the practice produced $1,537,000 and collected $1 million, you would think that office had a collections problem, right, Naren?
Yes.
But does it have a collections problem?
No, it's that, it's write-offs, pretty much. The
537 difference was the write-offs, the adjustments, the write-offs between his production on his fees and the fees that he was contracted with the insurance company. So I like you from this moment forward to think of your adjustments as a marketing expense. So this office was spending, if you accept that definition, why do I call it a marketing expense? Because you're paying the insurance companies to provide you patients. Isn't that what marketing does? Marketing provides you patients. Isn't that what you do, Naren?
Yes. Yes.
Equus work provides new patients to a dental office.
And trust me, we don't charge 45% of what you're going to collect from the patient.
Well, if you don't mind me sharing your fees, is that all right?
Yes.
You charge an all-inclusive monthly service fee of $1,250 a month. If we annualize that, that's $15,000.
Right.
$15,000 a year. By the way, we've used Equa at my LifeSmiles practice since it's been 7 years now, and absolutely thrilled with our marketing that we get through Equa. Now, let's go back to the example. That office was spending $537,000 a year on marketing in the form of the adjustments to the PPO plan. Hey, doctor, what would you rather do? Spend $537,000 a year or $15,000 a year? Take as long as you like. Well, I think 15. We all know the answer to that.
Yes.
So I want to amplify it maybe one other way. Recently, a doctor from Orange County, California, reached out to me. And he'd been listening to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. And he reached out to me and he said, Gary, thanks to listening to your podcast, I now have a better handle on what I'm writing off. And he said, I never knew this because we enter our contracted fees. And he said, now I started to look at Delta. And he said, not all, of course, as some of our listeners know, not all the Delta plans are the same. The Delta plans can vary by group depending on what the employer wants to pay for premiums. If they choose to pay higher premiums, they can buy better benefits for their employees. If they're a cheapskate company and they choose to buy the lowest quality plan, then they get lower benefits for their employees. And this doctor from Southern California said, Gary, I started to look at this, and some of our very low quality dental plans, the low paying Delta plans, are reimbursing me $67 total for a hygiene appointment. That's cleaning, exam, and x-rays, $67. And he said, Gary, I'm paying $75 an hour for hygiene wages. I'm not even covering the hygiene wages with that $67 reimbursement, let alone the other expenses associated with the appointment, let alone the room, the materials, the admin cost to put a butt in the seat in hygiene in the first place. It takes admin cost to do that. And he said, I'm losing money to provide hygiene. And he said, Gary, that was such an eye-opener for me because I love to help patients. I love doing dentistry. Myself and my team, this is a multi-doctor practice. We're very proud of the quality care we provide, but I'm not in business to lose money. And he said, as I look at this, my best alternative is to go out of network. And he is now a client of ours, and we're on that journey to reduce insurance dependence. Notice that we call it reducing insurance dependence as opposed to going fee for service, because every time you successfully resign from a plan, you've strengthened your practice. Every time. But if you want to get the most out of it, it's best to go all the way for fee for service. And more dentists are choosing the fee for service path as a way to be viable in today's inflationary soft economy environment, because you're not in business to lose money. And ultimately, that's a pathway to disaster, because if you're not able to cover your expenses, you can't keep your doors open. If that was to maintain over an extended period of time, you can't honor your promise to your patients to take care of that. So really, the inflationary environment that we're in, combined with the weak economy, are having many dentists, it's grassroots movement of many dentists choosing to resign from PPO plans because that model just doesn't make sense. Go back to that example that I used, the office had to produce $1,537,000. That client is now an Equa client. Rather than having $537,000 in adjustments, that client's paying $15,000 a year. And the difference goes right to the bottom line, right to the bottom line. And I do want to take a minute and define fee for service, because there's some confusion over what that means. I was recently invited to participate in a large private Facebook group about what does it mean to be fee for service. And there was one doctor that said, fee for service means you have nothing to do with insurance. You wash your hands of insurance. You hand your patient the claim form and say, if you want to get benefits, you can go file that yourself, but you pay us. I could not disagree more with that definition of fee for service. I am categorically in disagreement with that as the definition. And I don't think that's a wise decision. Naren, you and I could file a claim form. Well, I know I can. I bet you probably could too. You'd probably call me to help, but we could file a claim form. But can the public do that?
No.
No. So
They
my
don't want to do that. They
definition,
want to press a button and things
right,
to work, right? Yeah.
my definition of fee for service means that you set your own fees. You don't allow anyone else to set your own fees. The way we teach our clients to do that is we let our patients know you can choose our office for your care. You can choose our office. Secondly, you can use the benefits that you have right in our office. Thirdly, we will file your claims for you. And number four, we're on your side to help you get every dollar of benefit you have. That's my definition of fee for service. You getting to set your own fees. Maybe if you look through that light, rather than the example that was used by the dentist in that Facebook group, maybe if you look through that light, you can see it as more viable. Most people realize that when they can still choose your office, they can use the benefits there, you'll file their claims for it, and you're on their side, they're like, I'm on board. I don't want to go anywhere else. But in fact, the effect on inflation and the weak economy is more dentists are making a conscious decision that the highway robbery that you've been subjected to under the PPO plans is done. Enough is enough. And now are charting a very successful path forward and for the remainder of their career. If you're on the fence looking at it, what I would encourage you to do, if you have some fear and some apprehension around that, please know that's natural. Every office that has decided to resign from PPO plans has experienced that fear. However, every time I do a debrief with a client when we get to the finish line, every single time, and I can honestly say that with absolutely no exceptions, every single time they say, I lost way fewer patients than I thought, thanks to your guidance. And secondly, I should have done this a long time ago. Well, if you want to know if that's right for you, I'd encourage you to set up a coaching strategy meeting with me. It's a free Zoom meeting with me where I get to know your practice. I get to learn a little more about your office. The truth is, going fee for service isn't appropriate for every practice. If you wonder if it's appropriate for yours, set up that CSM and I can objectively share that with you and give you information that'll help you make an informed decision. Just go to thrivingdentist.com/CSM. That opens up my calendar. You'll schedule a Zoom meeting with me, and I'll look forward to meeting you face-to-face on Zoom. Naren, this was a fun topic. I hope it moves the needle for some of those that are sitting on the fence. As we wrap up today, let's bring it back full circle. Come join us February 1st for the Thriving Dentist Live Workshop in Austin, Texas. 8 hours of drinking from a fire hose about developing a thriving practice. You'll meet some amazing colleagues. We'll have a chance to spend some time together. I'll be there being the presenter that day. Come join us. Go to thrivingdentist.com/Austin to register. We've got some early bird tuition specials. It'll never be less expensive than right now to come out and join us February 1st in Austin. On that note, thank you for the privilege of your time today. Naren and I look forward to connecting with you on the next Less Insurance Dependence podcast.